Welcome, welcome, welcome. It is a thankful Thursday, and we are right here live with you guys, right on Laquita's Toolbox Live. Thank you guys so much for those of you that are coming into the room. We appreciate you. We appreciate you. We appreciate you. Today's conversation is going to be very interesting. It's going to be short and to the point, but it will be very interesting. And I see that we have a few people coming into the space. I want to take the time to say welcome, welcome. Hello, Miss Pamela Burris. How are you, sis? How are you? Hope all is well. I'll give a few more minutes. Today's topic for Laquita's Toolbox Live um, is we're going to be talking about personal branding. If you guys give me just a second, I know this is a little bit out of my norm, but hey, we're live, and so we're going to enjoy what's live. My guest tonight is Mr. Zachary Colman, and he's coming into the space here in just a moment. So, what I want you guys to do is just take a moment to get something to write with and something to write on because you don't want to miss any of the tools that Zach is going to give us concerning personal branding. And it's in his topic to your email. All right. And his topic, he's going to teach us how to do personal branding from a us perspective instead of a me perspective. I know a lot of time as business owners, oftentimes we get focused on what looks good to us and what speaks to us and what's meaningful for us. And we forget to add in the perspectives of not just the team that's around us, but also our ideal client and what they want and what they need. And so we're going to have just a really great power pack conversation with Zach on tonight. And I see we've got people coming in from Facebook, LinkedIn, uh, X, formerly known as Twitter, as well as Twitch and YouTube. Come on in the room. We'll give you guys just a few more minutes to come in the room. And while we do that, while you guys are getting settled and getting this broadcast out to as many people as possible, I'm going to take just a moment for a really short commercial break to get us started out in a really fresh and special way. So, you guys stay tuned. Don't leave. Let's get this broadcast out to as many people as possible.
Attention entrepreneurs. Are you ready to take your business to new heights? Join us for the TV Media Tour, where you'll gain the exposure, elevation, and expansion strategies you need for success. Get the tools and insights to run a thriving business. Register today at tvmediatour.com. Don't miss out on this opportunity. Transform your business. Register now.
Hello, Zach. Hello, how are you on this thankful Thursday?
Good. How are you doing?
I am doing good. I'm doing good. There are no complaints over here, good sir. No complaints. Just happy to have you on tonight. I've been waiting on this conversation for a while.
Yeah, me too. I apologize. It's pretty late for me. I have 3 young ones and a newborn, and so.
All right, congratulations with the newborn. You guys are having big fun over there. With the newborn, right?
Yep, we are.
So I promise we won't keep you long at all. But before we get started into tonight's conversation about personal branding, transforming your personal brand from me to us, take a minute if you don't mind and share with the audience more about who you are and what you do.
Oh, my name is Zach Colman, and I help athletic-driven leaders find their community through brand experiences and digital experiences.
Awesome. I know as I was learning more about you and the things that you're doing for athletes, athletic companies. You've worked with some great brands, and you guys are doing some very meaningful work. Had an opportunity to check out your YouTube, a couple of episodes of that, and love your definition of grit, by the way, as well. So that was pretty super awesome. And so I was like, okay, tonight's conversation is going to be good because personal branding seems like it's one of the hot buzzwords and has been for a while. And a lot of even though it's been a hot buzzword for a couple of years now, it's still one of those great areas where business owners or entrepreneurs, creators don't quite understand why the personal brand is important and how to merge your personal brand and your business brand for success. And so I'm hoping that you can delve off into that with us tonight.
Yeah. I mean, I'll just start off quite fast. I think the problem with, the definition of personal branding right now is that people think that it's a way for them to work without hiring an employee.
Mm.
They come in, they say, I'm going to build a personal brand. I don't want to deal with other people. I don't want to deal with that. I can just build this 1,000,000, 2,000,000, 3,000,000, whatever definition of success looks like for them, free time. And I can just do this. Well, the problem here lies is that personal branding is all about you becoming a leader.
Mm.
I think that that's really the fine definition of what personal branding is. It's really becoming a leader. And the hard part with becoming a leader is that you usually have to go through the trials and tribulations of managing, delegating, moving from that me to that we,
Yeah.
And so you have to find yourself. And it's very easy for people to think that branding is just, hey, let me just draw this circle of a logo and put it up, and that's me building a personal brand with my initials. And I'm not discrediting branding in the tangible aspect at all, because we do it for a lot of our clients, create those amazing visuals. I would say it's communication as a whole, right? And I'd say that that's kind of a good definition of what branding is. And on an individual level, I would say it's really about connecting with yourself and kind of just understanding who you are, and what you want to portray to become that authentic self, and to be able to self lead and find employees, clients, partners that relay in the same values as you. So as you make it to that transitional period within the business and you're like, all right, we want to move up and we want to start growing a much more corporate level style brand, you already have this feeling and this somewhat personal culture that you've started to portray onto the members of your team, the types of clients you're bringing in, and even down to the customers you're bringing in the door.
So if what I hear you saying is your our personal brands should really start off with us understanding one, who we are, what our core values are, and then be able to communicate that with everything that we do, whether it's team building, um, whatever it is that we're doing. Our personal brand should be who we are on a very realistic level, on a very authentic level, and let who we are just flow through our business, so that when people are, you know, so that's the image that you want your ideal customer and your ideal team member to have when it comes to working with you. Is that correct, or
No, and
did I miss a few things?
it's pretty spot on. I'm not saying hire people identical to you,
Mhm,
or bring in clients identical to you, but the overall aspect of any business. And when you start looking at these large corporate brands, one thing that you really start seeing is that corporate brands actually start looking backwards to how can we be more human? We've grown
mhm,
too fast. We have too many people on our team. You see, and not to get into a lot of the corporate sabotaging situations that happen, especially over recent years, there's a lot of situations that happen in that. I was talking to someone in the field last week who owns a gym, and we work with a lot of gym and leaders in the gym space. And she was like, there was this franchise, there's this CrossFit person that we work with,
mhm,
and the gym that she goes to, and yes, they still have their overall branding and all their stuff from the franchise, but it was the owner itself and the way he didn't just provide customer service, but the way he provided communication to us, which was the overall essence of why we decided to stay at the gym. And
mhm,
so when you look at it from that aspect, and you look at an individual and growing not just as a person, but growing a business and a brand, it's always going to be built based around who they are. You can look at, I always like to say, one of my special powers, since, we do marketing and branding for people, is that like I can see a company and I can go and see how good their what I like to call the confidence side of personal branding, which is I can see how confident they are in what they do and how they do it just by looking at the assets they put out to the world. Are they really market heavy? Are they really product heavy? Do they have good customer service? Because it shows you what they value and how they treat certain people by the way that the other people treat me, or the way that the experiences that they're providing for their customers. Like going back to the gym example, if I'm going to go to a gym, I'm going to want to make sure that they have great customer service and that the experience matches the reasoning why I want to go to the gym. If I go somewhere and it's, a garage style gym, then nothing wrong with that. But, with broken down weightlifting machines, I'm going to be like, oh, this guy's really frugal, which means that he probably brings in people, doesn't pay them right, doesn't do certain situations. Why would I want to work? Why would I want to be at a gym like that? So that's just a small example of how branding really takes effect, can really take effect in the top line of a company's growth and a brand's growth. But that's really what I think branding is at its core. It's a feeling. It's a communication of all feelings, for when it comes visual, when it comes messaging, when it comes listening, being on this podcast, going out and trying to show helpful information. Like, how are you communicating yourself and portraying yourself as a person and allowing yourself to be vulnerable enough to display your failures and get through those failures? Because that's really what all of us hope for, right? That's why I think a lot of the fake gurus, everyone kind of sees through them now, and they're starting to be like, oh, they're going to portray people that just want to buy fancy cars because they don't have a purpose, And so you kind of have to look at it from that aspect. And I think that, back to your question on going from how do you do a personal brand and move into a corporate setting? Well, I'll be real with people. Corporate settings usually make at least 10, 20 million a year, So if you're not at that level, I don't think you necessarily have to worry about that. You have that sense of don't grow too fast, and focus on building a team, and kind of start building the internal workings of getting to just that small business phase,
So
and enjoy that.
I hear you putting the emphasis there on quality.
Mm-hmm.
The quality of what we're producing, whatever product or service that we're producing. Yes, we're going to focus on the quality of that. And I even in one of the pieces that I was looking over, as we were preparing for the interview, one of the things that you mentioned, like that's extremely important, was the customer service piece.
Mm-hmm.
The quality of my customer service to my ideal client. So, w- yes, we want to earn more income, but in order to for customer retention and B2B customer acquisition, so like we're wanting, if we're using the gyms, for example, or even a podcast or whatever we're using, and we want corporate sponsorship, what is the quality of customer service that we're giving to that client, or your one-on-one clients, what is the quality of customer service? And are those customers in a position to become your raving fans, to say, I'm doing business with XYZ company because this is what they give to me. This is how they make me feel. They make me feel valued. They make me feel seen. They make me feel heard. Not just that I get a good product, but they value me in a human way as a customer, whether I'm that gym member or whether I'm the title sponsor of some media production, right? It's in that personal, that what I hear you saying there is in your personal brand, the words that we put in the mission, the vision, and all that good stuff for everyone to see. We actually need to have a top down approach of living that out loud. And
Yeah.
that's the experience that our customers need to have. with us always. And as we're developing that quality will give us good organic growth. We don't want to make that focus. Let me grow, let me grow, let me grow. And then, as you were saying with the corporate clients, then they got to go back, come backwards and say, okay, we got all this money, we got all these things, but there's no human factor in our company at all. So how do we fix that? So you're saying don't let it get there. Build it as you go. And so when you do get that big, you'll it'll already be ingrained into the fabric of not just you, but every person that makes up your team.
Yeah. And I'm not saying that. I mean, I get it. We're all businesses. We're all trying to grow. You always have to watch bottom line. I mean, that's going to be an inevitable. That's going to be an inevitable thing because we all want to stay in business, right? But we also all want to understand that quality. I want everyone to understand that quality does not mean that you're not going to have. You're not going to always nitpick and be a perfectionist. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that, hey, like, your end goal should always be the customer.
Mhm,
And if you don't value the customer,
mhm.
then you're probably not in the right space.
Mm.
You probably
Yeah.
haven't found your why. Because once you understand who you want to market to, like once you really get connected with yourself, you'll start finding like what your purpose, what you really want to do. And
Mhm.
so you'll start understanding who you want to contribute to a lot more. And so that's really going to come down to you being able to um, understand what we were just talking about, right? Like, who do you contribute? Who's the best person that you want to contribute to? And so you'll want to provide better quality. You'll want to work on things because you know that at the end of the day, you have a vision, and your
Mhm.
vision is, I want to help this person the best way I can. And I hear so much online about, two different types of selling, right? You have what we all have gone through at least once in our life, which is buying a car and dealing with cold pitching and trying to do that. We all think selling's like that. Selling
Right.
isn't like that. And then you see the other aspect where it's like value sell, like just kind of like up the price. But here's the thing: value selling does not necessarily have to mean, oh, I'm going to raise my prices by 10, 20, $30,000. It could
Mhm.
also mean that, hey, I know this market so well that I understand how much they actually make. I understand their position in the market. I'm not going to go out there, for instance, and do it for a gym owner and say they have to pay us 10K a month for marketing, because I know that they can't afford that. I know that that's not part of uh, the other expenses they have. So I have to have empathy for those types of companies and understand that the value to them
Mhm.
is going to be different. And so that doesn't necessarily mean price. Price is still very important, right? Because it's
Right.
an energy. But when it comes down to it, it really is defined by how you feel like you can contribute to that person, and then that human connection. Like, hey, we understand you. We understand the pains you're going through. I have empathy for that. And these are kind of the services in the position that we put ourselves out in the market to help you with that situation.
So again, that's still being customer driven, not in a way that you're not going to underprice yourself so much that you don't make money, you lose money. You're not going to or not even overprice, because it very well, the services that we can offer could very well be worth 10, 20, 30, 40,
Yeah.
50K.
Yeah.
But it can your ideal client, is that realistic for them?
Yeah.
And if it's not realistic for them, I guess the better question will be, is that person truly your ideal client? Like the people that are coming through your door that can afford something at this level, but your price is up here, then don't we need to readjust our prices, or do we need to readjust how we're meeting and our target
It
client?
could be how we're meeting. It could really just mean wrong place, wrong place. A good definition of that is, when I was before I really started building Gymmark, which is the company where we work with leaders in the gym space. Um, we were kind of in this niche spot where, athletic driven, we worked with all these types of athletic companies, athletes, all that stuff. And we still do work with them on occasion, but that's not who we market to, that's because I have seen that, losing track of mindset here. But I have seen that you kind of get to this space where you can't really define certain things within the value that you're trying to provide. You can't really work with a person if everything's going to be different. We couldn't validate our market, for instance, because every athlete we talked to wanted something different. And so I couldn't help them. I couldn't. And so I wasn't going to have an agenda to just take their money. So it also comes down to personal morals and making sure that you're the right fit. I think that something that we all have to take into consideration is it's a two-way street. I want people that, I'll use this for an example. Whenever I'm very big on integrity and being honest, I'm straightforward. I'm honest with prospects, with clients. Whenever someone does a certain marketing approach to me that I don't believe in, or they're just not a right fit, I don't usually ignore them. If I'm on a sales call or something of those natures, I will actually tell them, I'm sorry, this situation is not good for me. And so you have to really put out there who you are and how you're doing certain things, because it's gonna portray in multiple avenues. And so when we have prospects come in the door, and we're working with certain types of individuals, I will see pretty fast with either a ghost call or the way they're treating me. I'm like, this person's not really leadership mentality because they haven't gone through the trials and tribulations of this yet. So I don't feel like I can help them. But it should be vice versa too. You were talking about pricing. And one of the biggest things in society right now I see crazy with is everything's become so online and so transactional. There's no human connection anymore. And so you base everyone tries to base their decisions off of numbers, and not to blame anyone for that. I think it's just an inevitable situation with what we've learned in society and where we're at right now, in the growing of our economy. But people have different values, people have different speeds, people have different team members. And so I'll just tell everyone on here, if you're vetting a marketing company or you're vetting a paint company, it's actually okay to haggle. This is a funny story. I'm just going to say this. I've noticed recently when I'm talking to prospects, I'm like, no one's even trying to haggle with me anymore. They're just looking at the price and they're like, I'm going with this guy that's $1 less, and they don't even know me. They haven't even seen me. They don't know how good my quality is. They're just going for the lowest price possible. And they're not my target, but still I've noticed. And I was talking to one of my teammates the other day, and I was just like, it's crazy to me that no one even wants to talk price. They don't even go, hey, can we work with the price? Can we do this? And
negotiation has gone out the window.
Negotiation has gone out the window. And you hear a lot of people talk about, well, you don't go into a grocery store and try to haggle down a price of a soda because that's their set price. Yeah, I get that. But in the service business, it's a service business. It's okay to haggle. It's okay to talk about money. It's an energy. Let's talk about it.
It's funny you said that, because haggling for prices, not haggling over prices, is more of a Western thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I've traveled to different places throughout Europe and Eastern Europe and the Middle East and Africa, and it's like insulting not to haggle. Like, that's the art in the negotiation. And sometimes in that, people are able to tell if you understand the value of what you're getting, and if they really want to do business with you. Like, where are you? Do you understand the value of what you have and what you're doing as the customer, whether you're a customer or the business owner? And do you understand the value of what a product or service you're getting, and what it's worth, right? So that art of negotiation it's an amazing skill, and we need to be able to do that, whether in negotiating, even if from the terms of, are we going to do a skill swap or something like that, a professional swap, or can we just talk about this price, or can we modify this package? Um, I think that takes a lot of guts. One
It does.
and it makes me think about how you define grit.
Hmm.
And some of those aspects of grit are missing when we find that ourselves in a position where we won't do that or can't do that or are afraid to do that. Yeah.
I had a prospect the other day. We were having a conversation, our first conversation, and we were kind of going over pricing at the end. And I was like, "Hey, this is going to be, roughly about 20K for us to do this. Is that price range okay with you?" And I wanted to talk through with her, and she's like, "That price range is
You
fine."
asked the question. Wow.
Yeah, yeah. So we send up a call for the next week, and we set up a call for the next week, and um, within an hour, she canceled that call, and I never heard from her again. I'm like, why couldn't she just tell me no? She'd tell me,
Yeah.
no, we're looking for more 10 grand, or we're looking for more this. And I get it. She probably didn't go through and do her research yet or do that. But it comes down to, now you're wasting my time.
Right.
I want to build relationships with people, but at the same time, you have to kind of understand that this is a two-way street here. That's the
Right.
whole point of trade, right? Money
Right.
may be an energy for you in the direction that you're going. And if 20K isn't the right price for you, then let's work to see what we can do for you right now and still have that value for you, and work with it. And I'm willing to do that with people. I think that it just comes down to that energy. Back in the day, if you just think about common trade, some people would like, for instance, trading a bird for, a tree, for instance. We'll just say that. And
Right.
some people value a tree more than they try. So why is money becoming this issue with these trades, when it's like, no, I'm giving you a service and you're
Mhm.
giving me money in return to do that service? We're partnerships. That's kind of
Right.
what we're doing here. But yeah, we kind of got off the topic of branding a little bit.
Just a little bit. Just a little bit. You know what? Let's do this. We're gonna pull it back in, everybody, and we are going to talk about branding and transforming your personal brand from me to us. I love the fact that you guys are sticking with us through here. So we've got quite a few people on from LinkedIn. Welcome our LinkedIn community. We've got quite a few people on here from Facebook as well, and from some from my different Facebook communities. Thank you guys so much for tuning in for this week's episode of Laquita's Toolbox Live. We are speaking with Zach Colman, and we're going to be continuing a discussion on how to transform your personal brand from a me to us. And we will do that in just a moment after this short commercial break.
Attention entrepreneurs. Are you ready to take your business to new heights? Join us for the TV Media Tour, where you'll gain the exposure, elevation, and expansion strategies you need for success. Get the tools and insights to run a thriving business. Register today at tvmediatour.com. Don't miss out on this opportunity. Transform your business. Register now.
All right, welcome back. If you are just joining us for this week's episode of Laquita's Toolbox Live, go ahead and hit that like, share, and subscribe button on your favorite podcast listening platform, social media platform, so that you do not miss any live episodes as they're released every Thursday night at 7:30 p.m. Central Standard Time, and our audio version released every Tuesday morning at 5 a.m. You guys, welcome back. And Zach, we are talking about transforming your personal brand from me to us. We did get a little off track and start talking about pricing and the art of negotiation.
Hint,
But
hint,
now,
that is part of branding, but we can still keep going.
right, it all works together. It all works together because even in even in doing that, if we are a team of one or we are a small team of 3 to 5 people, and to be quite honest, some companies we do business with on a regular basis usually run on team of 5 people or less.
Mhm.
And you would be amazed. But even in that, you'll find yourself sometimes as being the salesperson for your company. You'll find yourself being the negotiator for your company, the COO for your company. And so you may have to be that person that's negotiating the deals. And that's a part of your personal brand. So if you own A and Z paint company, um, and you promoted yourself from the painter to the full-time exec, that doesn't mean you're not the salesperson. That doesn't mean you're not doing all of these things. But in what you're doing, that's a part of your personal brand. Those people that do business with ANZ Paint Company, they may like, yeah, ANZ Paint Company, but I'm doing business with Zach. Like they're not saying I'm doing business with the paint company. They're saying I'm doing business with Zach, or they're not doing business with um, you know, Pursue Purpose TV. They're doing business with Laquita Montley. What is it about you that we need to help grow and improve to move you from a me to a us and our personal brands that reflect every aspect of our company? And that's what Zach is going to talk to us about tonight. If you can give us just a couple of maybe one or two tools that we can start to implement to help us think about our personal brands in a different way and not just like what's showing up on social media as my personal brand is everywhere you see me. I've got these professional stage photos and I'm in these flashy places with flashy people doing flashy things. Like that's cool. But is that really a personal brand?
Yeah, I mean, you could say it is. I mean, at the end of the day, you're going to kind of look back on the person and either know they're not being authentic or so, and you're still going to have a feeling from that. So they're still somewhat portraying or communicating themselves in a certain way. It's just, are they being authentic?
Mhm.
You know, one of the biggest things we talked about earlier is confidence. And if we go back to, I'm not going to go back to the money thing, but I'm going to go back to the term value.
Okay.
What are the values of branding? You know, and when you really think about personal values in itself, the word value is in it, right? And so, how do you value yourself? You know, how do you value an exercise or a thing that you can do for yourself? Is how you value yourself? Because there's one thing that happens to most of us as we start to grow a business. I know what happened to me. You know, you start getting in the grind, you start growing, you start trying to bring on other services or starting to try to make money, because we all want to make money. And then
Right.
you get to a point where you're like, all right, well, now I'm somewhat miserable. And I don't know if this is my why. I wouldn't say that you've lost your why. Well, let me rephrase. I wouldn't say you don't have a why. I would say that you've lost it, you know?
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
so kind of looking back and saying, how do I value myself here? Because, you know, me personally, I used to go to the gym every day. You know, I used to make sure that I had control over my health and my stuff. Then I had children, and that got kind of somewhat went out the window. And then I was like, oh, and then I was starting to grow my business more, spending more hours in the business. And I realized that, hey, like, I am not valuing myself
Mm.
enough to allow the business to go where it wants to go. So going back, and that's where if you want to look at the tangible, that's where those personal values come in, right? And so
Right.
I had to
Right.
take time for myself. I'm actually at a point right now where I was having a conversation with my wife earlier, and I was like, you know, I think I'm gonna move to a 4-day work week. You know, I think I need an extra day around family and to keep the mind open. And that has allowed me doing that and adding a spiritual day in once a month and stuff like that as a visionary. I think
Mhm.
allows our minds to open up and be like, well, what do we really value? Like,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
value going to the gym. You know, I value working on my mental health and taking care of my health. I value that. And so that is allowed me to value who I can, you know, connect with, not just connecting with myself, but how do I value myself enough to allow myself to connect with the people that I want to connect with. And that's
Yeah.
what values really do, right? You think about it in terms of, you know, I value perseverance, I value integrity. So I'm going to start connecting with those types of people, if it be, you know, teammates, you know, we bring in partnerships, or even everyday community members that I see. And that's actually part of the way that I started to reestablish my why and kind of realize, you know, hey, this is my community. You know, this is who I love to work with. These are the people I want to help. I like watching people go to the gym. I like knowing that they're going here and working on their mental health. And that's my vision, is to help them. And to help them, I need to help the leaders of the gym space, right? And so that's how I was able to connect with myself. And so I would say, from a tip perspective, that's a good start. Like how do you value yourself? I'd say tip 2 would be, we talked a little bit about confidence earlier, and
Mhm.
once you start finding value in yourself, getting away from the ego mentality. I look at the gym space, for instance, and this is a good example for everyone, is I think that, there's a vanity metric around, people have this vanity metric around likes, around how they look, and stuff like that. But then there's the other side of it, right? I like to look good because it makes me feel good.
Feel good. Yes.
So don't do it for other people, do it
Mhm.
for yourself. And that comes back to the confidence level of how you are going to allow yourself to be seen by other
Mm.
people. And
Yes.
so your confidence letter could be your voice. It could be going on stages. It could be leading a team through team activities. It could be, and a good example for me to say this is, I was stuck behind the computer screen. I was doing SEO. I was doing PPC. I was doing advertisement. I was using that as a metric for, that's how I'm going to be seen by all these people, is by just doing this. And I was too afraid to allow myself to be authentic and be,
Mhm.
oh no, I'm going to go speak. I want to be in front of people, allowing my true self to come out.
Come
And
out.
so that's where the confidence comes in, right? That's the value. That's the value of understanding yourself and having confidence in yourself. Now, confidence is a stepping stone. You're always going to be going backwards and changing and growing and doing that stuff, but really kind of starting to value the way of how,
Of how.
of how you are being seen, how are you allowing yourself to be seen, goes back to the fake gurus, right? How are you portraying yourself? Are you portraying yourself in a way that are you vulnerable? Are you, and it's okay if you have to learn vulnerability. I think building authenticity is actually very hard. I
It
still work on it on a constant basis, but
it is.
building,
I will say in our culture, because quiet as it's kept is not taught. It's not, it's to be vulnerable. Um, is not something that we in our society, we say it, but or like an example for a young man that wants to express his emotions, then and some and oh you can boys don't cry, right? Or as moms or for women, good moms can handle this stress. And so then when we move into this space in our business, these are the things that we're taught like in a personal level. And so what we're taught in that personal level, we're still going to have that in when it comes to our business. So we may feel like we're being vulnerable, we may feel like we're being authentic, but in actuality, we've got to learn that authenticity. We've got to learn being vulnerable, even being vulnerable, vulnerable and on and authentic out loud in public where people can see me and see the real me. Um, that can be scary for some people. And it may and people don't even realize
they
that they're
don't.
not doing it. It's like it's a continuous learning process that I can be vulnerable. It's not a sign of weakness, it's a sign of strength to say, whatever you're going to say that day, or whatever you're going to do that day. It and wherever you are when you do it or say it, like it's 100% okay to not be okay, or to be not even that, just to be vulnerable and say, okay, in this area of my business, I know this is where I need improvement. Or, in this area of my personal growth, this is where I need improvement, because we're talking about our personal brands going from a me to us. And a big part of that personal brand, from what I hear you saying, my takeaway from everything that you're saying is, in order to grow that and to be authentic, be vulnerable, I have to first know who I am.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I think, yeah, like I have to be confident in who Laquita is 100% unapologetically, and be okay with being me
Mhm.
to the masses, no
Mhm.
matter where I go and no matter what I do.
And
But
and the confidence and the contribution, which I'll talk about in a minute, which is kind of with that connection. I think I like to kind of frame it of what are the values of branding, what are the values of branding, because they all kind of work together. You have to value yourself to be able to connect with other people. you're not going to build, if you come in with an ego type mindset, you're never going to work on yourself. So you're
Right.
not going to build that confidence. You're going to always sit back behind a box. And so that's where that the value of building confidence within yourself portrays, and not just who you are, but how you push yourself out to the world. And then lastly, we talked about it earlier, is that contribution. How do you value other people?
Mm-hmm.
How do you value other people? I'm a very big component of human to human connection. Like I thrive on it. I love it. I love being on these podcasts. I love being in depth with my clients, but I also understand boundaries. I
Mm-hmm.
really want my clients to understand, like, hey, we're here to help you grow. But I've also had to take a step back and say, I can't contribute my successes on a client leaving, or a client deciding to go another direction, or showing them great results and them not seeing it. I have to know for myself that I have given these amazing results. And going back to that who, which is the contribution side, and how do you value other people, that's where we talked about money earlier, right? I think I kind of summed it up earlier, where it's like, hey, how do you value other people enough? I'm not saying give your services away for free or your stuff away for free, but how do you value them just as much as they need to value you? And so you need to be able to, take risks sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
A good example of this is, I was at the airport a few months ago, and we were in line waiting for our plane, going through the checkout line. And, there's this woman that was coming through the line. It was a long line at the time. And she was late for her plane. You could tell she was trying to get ahead of everyone, and no one was letting her through. I think they all expected the large brand airplane agency, the brand, to allow this person to go through. And I'm like, we're all human beings. We all value different things. We all value our time, but we're all going to get to the same place just as fast if this one extra person goes in front of us. And so, I value me personally in a way that I contributed from a small level, as I was, I allowed her to go through. And so contribution doesn't necessarily have to mean like, hey, I'm going out there and I'm helping in a food bank, or I'm valuing myself enough to charge this price or this price. It really just comes down to you as a person, and how do you value the other people around you,
Yes.
so that you can portray a communication of that contribution, of you being that type. And that's what being a human is.
Right.
You know?
Right. I mean, that is a really, really great example. Our values, yes, it's great for us to have those core values. And we all should have core values. But at the root of it, our humanity should be, how am I going to serve, and to whom I'm going to serve, right? Like what can my contribution do to benefit the next person, the next individual, right? Um
Well, here's
because
a tip. Here's a tip for you. So, especially with the contribution side, I think a lot of people, if you haven't, and one of the biggest things that we do is we try to bring personal development within our branding practices, and the stuff
Mhm.
we do. And so we have a nice combination of utilizing creating a brand to personal development. And so when it comes down to, let's say, finding your target audience, for instance, so many people focus so much on the demographics. They're like, hey, I'm going to focus on these types of companies. I mean, I've done it within the gym market, like these types of companies doing this and this, but not too many people focus on the psychological counterpart. And
Mm.
so that's a good way for you to start understanding, hey, once you find out your values, what is the psychological counterpart of the types of people you want to work with? Like, I don't want to work with people that ghost me. I don't want to work with people that don't value my time. I don't want to work with people that don't value their own time,
Right.
And so being able to define even those traits, even if they're not 100%, because every human being is going to be different.
Right.
And knowing, hey, these are the types of people I want to work with from an emotional level, I think is going to help you start to bring in and work with the types of people that you feel satisfied to work with.
That's real good. I've got a couple of comments I want to say to that, but before I do, I want to acknowledge Miss Tanya Croker. I hope I'm saying your entire name correctly. Miss Tanya Croker Nagal. She said, and this is in reference to something that you said earlier in the broadcast. She's saying that blocking that planning time and mental health and self-care time is so important, uh, for the rest to be successful. It's essential. Absolutely, I could not agree more. We have to prioritize us first, because if our cup is empty, we can't pour into anyone else. And so whatever we need to do in order to fill ourselves up to capacity, we have to take the time to do that and know that it's not just important for us, but it's important to the people whom one, that we know and love in our family circles, and those that we've called to serve, through our businesses and whatever else it is that we do. If we're not, at overflowing, we can't help anybody else. If we let ourselves get sucked bone dry, then how will we help other people? And so I couldn't agree more with her comment. We also have another comment from, Stephanie Legan. She says, "Value the person and you value the relationship." It's just that simple. Yeah. Value the person and you value the relationship. When we value those that we come in connection with, or we are connected to, whether it's on a personal level or a professional level, when we value those relationships, we give it our very best effort, or at least we should give it our very best effort to show up, um, one, as authentically as ourselves, and two, um, showing up for, uh-oh, let's see what happened here.
While you're fixing that, I'll kind of go off
Yeah,
and kind
I have no idea what just happened.
of I think it goes back to the two-way street message, in the energy of money. I mean, I personally, I'll come in and I'll be the first to say that, yeah, we have bottom lines, we have to worry about certain things, but if someone else values me, money is not going to be as much of an issue. At the end of the day, you want the companies that you work with, or the companies that work with you, they should know, hey, we want this company to thrive just as much as us because they're helping us. And so being able to understand the value of not just the people that you're serving, but the people that are serving you, I think is just as important, because that's where that connection comes in. And so I think that's a value that we have lost in today's society with certain things when it comes to, you know the value of the relationship, and the value of one person doing one thing and one person doing the other thing, if that makes sense.
It does, it does. Well, let's see. I am back on camera, y'all. I have no idea. My good camera went off, but thank the Lord cameras are in laptops. So we were able to get back on. Um, Let me pull up another comment. We got a couple of comments here. Being okay with being poured into and knowing it's necessary is important, absolutely. Um, as well as a reciprocal relationship. Yes, our relationship should have some give and some take in them. They can't be one sided all the time, um, personally and professionally. And with those of us that are leaders and in business in any shape, form, or fashion, whether you're just starting out, whether you're in your growth phase or your scale phase, having those reciprocal relationships, are necessary. And one of the biggest reciprocal relationships that we have is our customer relationship. And so, as leaders, we have to have that customer driven and focused mindset, and know that the people who we're either bringing on to our teams or companies that we're partnering with also have that same type of customer driven focus, and providing, excellence in service, the services that they provide, as well as in the customer service that they provide as well. So, but yes, so back to what you were saying. When we are, for our personal brand, that going from me to us, hearing that "me" to us is, for me, that's saying, I'm not so me driven, even to the point where I don't think that I have to do this all by myself, and it doesn't have to always be just exactly my way. But I also have, an ear to hear and receive from the team that is around me, and most importantly, from my customer. That if any shifts or changes need to be made, I can adjust to those. I listen to them and I make the changes as necessary. Would that be a fair assessment as well?
Definitely, 100%.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Oh, excuse me. So I think that that camera going off really threw me off. I was very annoyed, like very annoyed that that camera went off in the middle of this broadcast.
It
Oh
was
my
the
god.
energy. It was the energy saying, "Yeah, it's getting late."
Yeah, like, okay, okay, this is what we're going to do. But listen, this it's absolutely been a phenomenal conversation, and I actually could I have several other questions that I want to bring about, but we will bring this to a close because one, we're almost out of time, and two, I know it's late where you are, and you have a little one that is probably calling your name.
Yes,
But
yes. I hear
but
my other 2, we have 3. I hear my other 2 in the bath right now screaming out there, so I'm like, I better get out there, help."
right. But before we do wrap this up this evening, is there anything else that you would like to share, especially your contact information with the Laquita's Toolbox audience tonight?
Yeah, definitely. Well, right now we're really focusing on leaders in the gym space, helping them go from stage, 3 to 4 within their gym ownership. And part of that is, taking that step forward into understanding their personal brand and their culture. And so if anyone's interested, we go through this private podcast and we really kind of talk through and dive into the 3 pillars that will help them get to that next stage within their business growth and their brand's growth. And so if you'd like to go in and listen to that free private podcast and learn how you can start building that community in just 5 minutes a day, go and head over to leavethatmark.com and download the podcast and have fun. See if it helps you out.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. You guys don't want to miss that. Go ahead and click on that subscribe button and find Google is amazing. Just Google Zachary Colman. It's amazing how YouTube will find him. He's got a great YouTube channel as well. Some awesome, awesome videos out there. Check those out. Subscribe to the channel. You'll also find the links to his social media and to the free podcast right there on his YouTube channel and his YouTube profile. So don't worry, it's out there. You can connect with him. He's on Instagram and he's on LinkedIn as well and YouTube. So y'all make sure you connect with Zach to learn more about the importance of branding. Until next time, I am your host, Laquita Monley. You guys be blessed and have an amazing rest of your evening. Take care.
Attention entrepreneurs. Are you ready to take your business to new heights? Join us for the TV Media Tour where you'll gain the exposure, elevation, and expansion strategies you need for success. Get the tools and insights to run a thriving business. Register today at tvmediatour.com. Don't miss out on this opportunity. Transform your business. Register now.